How music changes a generation, bruh. Let's get it.
The music we have today is like none other. And no, I don't mean that in
Like
a good way. Take a look at all our
spice.
mainstream artists and tell me you don't see not one flaw. Most of the music we have today is about twerking, killing, hoeing, or devil worshiping.
No
And all of
cap.
the new artists ain't that different. I believe that every generation of music breeds a new problem. And I know some of y'all like, duh, but I still wanted to talk about it. Hi, welcome to Bond and Break. Over here, we break into different subjects and bond and get along. Nothing more, nothing less. So without any
Shout
further
out to
ado, let's
bro.
get into it. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we all know that music has an effect on a person's mood. And if it's
Definitely
popular
do.
and trending and everybody you know is listening to it and they don't have a problem with it, most likely you're not going to have a problem with it either. And it don't matter what they saying. And I'm not saying that I'm not the same way. I like all music. Good music is good music, but some music is terrible, not gonna lie.
No
But
cap.
music in general wasn't always like this. There was a lot of things that led to this point. And I'm gonna give y'all a couple of examples of why this happened. But first, let's take a trip to the past, also known as the first generation. Well, the first generation
Damn.
ever recorded.
Damn. Boy, this generation. Long gone. Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, bruh.
Six
That's crazy
generations
how
in total,
fast
but
the
we
years go by.
only be going over four. Starting with the builders. People born between 1925 and 1945. They were the first of many to create their own sound. This generation also built most of the society we know today, and they value stability
Damn.
and traditional values. They would hear stories about the First World War that took place in 1914 from their grandparents that lived throughout World War II. But today they're known as senior citizens. But they weren't always known as senior citizens. They had a life too. And I don't mean building the suburbs or Jackie Robinson or the Big Bang Theory. And the crazy thing is, throughout all of that negativity, they still make good music. And
That's
as you already
crazy.
know, their mainstream was a little bit different from ours. They had artists like Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Dorsey,
Man,
and
what
the
y'all know about that Frank Sinatra, bro? Y'all don't know about that Frank. I know about his music from Home Alone. He sung one of the songs on there.
brothers. Most of their music barely had rhythm. They were just talking most of the time, but their words were meaningful. Let's take Elvis Presley for instance. Most
Press.
people would describe Elvis as warm, charismatic, and generous. He was always known for being kind and friendly to his fans. He was also known for his sense of humor and his ability to make people at ease. But one fact about Elvis that most people don't know is that he was an introvert. He always demonstrated powerful showmanship on stage, but he was quiet and thoughtful in his daily
Bro,
life.
that's exactly how I am, bro. Like me, but like I be figuring that out like with me doing YouTube, cause it's like, dog, I'm like in person. If y'all ever seen me in person, bro, I'm so quiet and to myself and stuff. But like for y'all niggas, like I'm willing to like open up and get out my shell and really, chop it up with y'all niggas on some cool shit for real. But nah, that's crazy. Like you wouldn't think that by him being so entertaining and shit like that, and he could bring light to a crowd and shit like that. You wouldn't think that from Elvis, but whole time he just a chill, laid back dude. Like that's crazy.
In his interviews, you can see that he was always reserved. He took time and answered his questions carefully. But people didn't see him that way. They chose to see him how they wanted to see him, whether that was bold and flashy or a show off and extra. In a way, he set a new standard.
That's
He
crazy.
made everyone think that they had to be like him in order to be cool. Like his style, his clothing, his hair. And
Damn.
all of his lady fans pretty much agreed. And we pretty much have the same thing today. We flex money, guns, cars, women, chains, bodies, who the toughest, who got the most ops, and it's all in music. But
That's
the urban culture
crazy.
wasn't always like this. It got more ignorant over time. Back then, it was just R&B and blues. Back then, we had singers like Ray Charles, Dinah Washington, Aretha Franklin, and
Legends.
these were all the builders. 1965 through 1979, Generation X. The label X came from Douglas Copeland. This generation mainly benefited from economic prosperity. Well, that was of the time at least. The people of this generation did well throughout this era. They established themselves well economically, and their net worth, well, let's just say it accelerated. And of course, their music taste did too. And this was when alternative rock, hip hop, and heavy metal developed. Artists like Kiss,
Oh,
Journey, Deep Purple, The Rolling Stones, Elton John, Black Sabbath, Marvin Gaye, they all generated from the 40s. And if you think about it, these genres of
that's
music just
crazy.
get passed
Man, what
down
the
in
fuck is that, little baby over there? Man, look at Lil Baby, bro. Before this Lil Baby before Lil Baby type shit. Like, damn, little bitch, what you doing here? What the fuck?
and it could make or break the genre. It's always up to the next generation. I believe one of the most influential people from this timeline that had the Elvis effect was James Brown.
Yeah,
And to
he
be honest,
definitely
he had a
did.
major influence on most popular music styles, including R&B, soul, disco, rock and roll, and of course rap. And I believe he influenced the era of soul music, just like Curtis Mayfield,
I
Lane
feel
Collins, and the Bee
good.
Gees. And a quick fact, James Brown was said to be the most sampled musician in history. He even used his music to break down the boundaries of racial segregation back in the 1950s. Both the blacks and the whites were
Damn.
obsessed with his music. They thought he was a musical phenomenon, but in his personal life, he was known as a kind and generous man. He also used to reach out to the needy. He sponsored a turkey giveaway and a book giveaway every year. And if you think he was putting on the front,
Damn.
once he was hospitalized with pneumonia. This was the day before Christmas. He got out of his warm hospital bed and went out in the cold just to give out gifts to the children.
Oh, that's
And sadly,
fire.
he died the next day. I believe his kind-hearted ways and soulful music turned hundreds of millions of people into who they are today. Soon after, there was Michael Jackson, the king
Damn.
of
I
pop
ain't never
music.
knew that.
He was the first to win 8
Bro,
Grammys in
I
one
ain't
night.
lying, bro. This man right here, huge influence. Like, bro, growing up, y'all know the history behind this man. Dancing, everything. Like,
The album of the year back in 1984 with songs like Rock With You, Dirty Diana, Will You Be There, and Beat It. The popularity of these videos helped bring TV channels like MTV to fame. He was more than an artist, he was an icon. He always had a way of
yeah.
connecting with his fans. And I'm not just talking about no normal basic fans. He had herds of fans. And to help some of y'all understand
That
the
nigga
amount of
couldn't
clout
do
he had, bro,
nothing.
just imagine the cost in that little incident in New York, but like 2 times bigger. Pretty much anywhere he visited, he had that same effect. And that's not all. He also proved that it doesn't matter what color you are. Talent and artistry doesn't know any color
No,
or race for
exactly.
that fact. He also is a part of Black History Month, the first black global icon who will forever be known as the King of Pop. Michael is an American icon that pushed the envelope for the black community worldwide. I like to believe that he was also a
That's
kind-hearted
crazy.
man that wanted to see us all get along. Gen Y, 1980 through 1994. Basically
Dope.
just the 90s. The 90s is often remembered as a decade of peace and prosperity. The Soviet Union fell, ending the decades of a long Cold War, and the rise of the internet ushered in a racial new era of
Bro,
communication.
look at the
The
computers, bro. Like,
long Cold War, and the rise of the internet
bro, the evolution of computers, bro. Desktops and shit like that, bro. Look what they was on, bro. What the fuck? Like, this crazy, man.
ushered in a racial new era of communication. The 90s was a decade that left a mark on popular culture, from the rise of grunge music and the explosion of hip hop, iconic TV shows and blockbuster movies. The 90s was a time of creativity, innovation, and cultural shifts. Google and Amazon fueled the growing
Man, look at
popularity of the
Google.
internet and forever changed everyday life.
That's
Most of the songs that come from
crazy.
the 90s are still getting played today, well by people that got taste. Tupac Amaru Shakur, also known as Tupac, he was known as one of the most influential and successful rappers of all time. He sold more than 75
That's
million records
crazy.
worldwide. He used his music to spread the message of thug life and the need for social change. His music was for the young people that were fighting for oppression and inequality, but others would use his music in another way. Pretty much the same thing with Elvis. They just built their own image of him in their head and tried to mimic it. A similar person to Tupac is X. Now hear me out, just hear me out. They both were really bold, and it was more to them than just the surface. They were some thugs in their own way, though. You would
Yeah,
always
it
catch them
was.
saying something
No
knowledgeable or
cap.
like something down
Bro,
to
this
earth.
low key one. This a nice comparison. I ain't gonna cap. Like, he kind of spitting with this one. Cause they was some bold motherfuckers. Like, however they felt, they spoke on it type shit. Like, now like he said, they had their thug times, thug ways and shit like that. But like, for the most part, they spit the real.
Their own way, though. You would always catch them saying something knowledgeable or like something down to earth. It would be something from the heart that made you see them differently.
No
And
cap.
then they would show their ignorant side. They also had a bad side. Like when they got mad, they got mad. Like it was a
No
little
cap
overboard.
though.
And if it was about beef, they would find a way to make it 10 times worse. But really, it's just the way you seen them. Because a lot of people didn't even pay attention to the ignorant side, or a lot of people just like pretty much ignored it. And some other people ignored the down to earth, knowledgeable side. All they wanted to see is their bad side because they thought it
Really
was
though.
cool. And then there was Gen Z. And we kind of going through it. Most of our artists ain't even making it
Bruh.
past 21. And then they get like really famous after they're dead. And it's not as natural, it's mostly calculated.
No
Everything is for
cap.
plays, it's not as genuine no more. When something is made, it's made specifically for plays and streams. And mostly it's more about how much clout the artist has and not about how much talent they
Bro,
bring
I
as
ain't
an
lying,
artist.
bro. Music wise, bro, I ain't gonna say we got the weakest generation, but like in terms of like the positive influence in this shit, like everything's so phony nowadays. Like you don't know what's going on with these artists nowadays. Like shit just be all over the place now.
The ones that really do have the most talent are the ones that die the fastest. It's kind of crazy. Most people back then just made music that they personally liked, and they caught on in the city, and they kept going. It wasn't for clout or anything like that. Let's take Chief Keef for example. He started out making music at just 5 years old,
That's
using his mother's
crazy.
karaoke machine and tapes with songs like I Don't Like, Love Sosa, and Hate Being Sober. His album hit 29 on the Billboard 200. And he was just a kid making music that he enjoyed himself with his I don't give a fuck energy. And it worked. Not because of a beat, not because of a crazy amount of followers. Nothing was forced at all. It was all natural. He wasn't trying to satisfy a certain sound. He was just doing shit. That's not a thing today. We go into music wanting something, whether it's money, women, or even attention. And that's why most artists don't last. It's not genuine. Most people just
Exactly.
copy everything they see working. And since we got the internet, we can put it wherever we want. And that's why we got random ass goofy music. 2017 is the year that the rap genre got the crown for the most popular genre of music in America. This was when the mainstream artists that we have now were just appearing. We had just discovered playboicarti Magnolia,
That's
Look at Me by
crazy.
X, Gucci Gang, Bad and Bougie with Migos and Uzi, The Shape of You by Ed
Bro,
Sheeran,
that was
Future and Matt.
that era just unmatched, bro. I ain't gonna lie, son. They had hits on top of hits, like dog. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Louis gang, Toy gang. Let me stop. Let me stop singing it like that, but that's crazy. Like Gucci gang was a hit though. No cap.
Off. This is another time or era that we will never get again. And this is also a standard. There were so many big names back to back, week after week, and dropping the best songs of our generation. They proved that they were here to
No
stay. But
cap though.
2016 was also good too. We can't
Yeah,
forget about
y'all.
that freshman
Yeah,
cipher
that
with Lil Bo,
cipher.
21 Savage, and Uzi. Life was simple back then, just good music, good vibes, no complaints. But we were mostly influenced by what we heard. Whatever was trending on YouTube, TikTok, or Vine, musically,
Man,
we took it like a drug and it changed us. Our behavior, our mindset, and
no
most definitely
cap.
our interests. A lot of us knew what was normal, then we moved on to this. Gen Alpha, I believe. That's all they're gonna know. Their Michael Jackson is gonna be Playboy Cardi. Their
Like
Beyonce gonna be
what?
Sexy Red. And I'm pretty sure y'all
That's
can already see it.
crazy.
They already think all of this stuff that's not normal is normal. And they're really not normal at all. But anyways, it's not too much I can say about that. It's really just parenting for real. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and
That was a
subscribe, like the
video,
video,
bro.
and stay tuned for more because I will be more consistent, hopefully. Hopefully. Don't hold me if I'm not. Don't even do that. And if you're wondering why my voice was like different throughout the video, I was recording this throughout different days. This wasn't all recorded in one day. It's been all over the place, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Let me know if y'all liked it or not, and
That'd
feel
be your
free to
man,
comment.
bro.
Thank you for watching. Bye!
Bro, that's crazy, son. Like, man.